ago, I announced that I was gonna start shadowing Lambda School. And so now here we are 1 week into the program, and I've collected some clips, and at the end of this video there's an interview with Patrick. He's a student, and you can see his thoughts on the program over the week, like what was his favorite thing, what was the hardest thing about it, how did the final project go. How can you breathe? Hey, get your head out of the pillow cushion, dude. Welcome back. At the beginning of the week on Monday, they started out with like, okay, this is a small group session with, it was like nine people to every one mentor, and it was like a small group session that went over, like if you're stuck, don't feel bad, ask questions, don't get left behind.
But I just want to emphasize this. You're going to have bad days, and it's really, really important that if you're having a bad day, that you reach out. So never sit in silence if you're struggling. Don't ever feel uncomfortable raising a question. You should feel uncomfortable if you're not raising that question, because you're not ever gonna get your answer. So I think it's a lot better for me, the PM, and then also for you guys if people have their cams on, so that we can see, the expressions on your face. If you're confused by something, if I'm boring you, if maybe you decide to take a little nap, all of that stuff. So a new cohort starts once per month. So if you're struggling with the material, the first thing that we want to do, or the first thing that you want to do, is reach out to me and let me know you're not feeling comfortable with something. We'll try our best to address that. 99% of the time, if not 100, we'll be able to get you squared away. I really don't think it's something that you should be concerned about there.
And then there was a question and answer session that happens after the lecture every day. And it's question and answer. I call it question and answer, but they call it stand up. So there's a stand up at the end of the day where everyone goes around and says what they thought was good, what they did, what they thought was hard, if they have any questions. And then at that point, the mentor can answer, and help them out.
Let's go ahead and get started. So pretty crazy day for a lot of you. Just kind of want to go over a few things. Brock, how did it go today?
And it was a little bit frustrating because I thought I had a better grasp on HTML and CSS than I actually did. I feel like that I'm kind of close to a breakthrough, I guess, in some capacity. But yeah, I thought today was it was good because it really exposed a lot of the things that I just flat out didn't know, but was able to kind of stumble through yesterday. So yesterday was like supremely easy, and today was just conceptually wasn't that difficult, but the applications of the concepts, were pretty challenging. So like Ezra, I'm gonna burn the midnight oil and figure it out. So dude, if you want to code together, let me know, because I'm gonna be spending time on it too.
And so then at the end of the week, they have to do a project, or it's called the Sprint Challenge Project. And on the Sprint Challenge Project, you have 3 hours to complete it. And then at the end of the day, you have a one-on-one with your mentor, like a one-on-one review, and he goes over your project. And this is where they decide if you're meeting expectations, you're not meeting expectations, or you're exceeding expectations. So again, they have like a 3-point program, which is 1, you're not doing good enough, they're gonna note that down. If you do that, lower than 80% of the time you're not meeting expectations, then literally ASMR hogging this video. Please have a seat. So on Fridays, that's like the final project of the week type day. They give you a task, they call it a sprint challenge. You get 3 hours to do it, and then you work on it, and then you hand it over to your mentor, and then you do a one-on-one with the mentor, and he decides.
But especially when we're trying to display things like next to each other, like this, for instance, or in our nav, when we're using inline block, we want to style the larger parent component, and then all of our children will follow that style and inherit that style.
This is where the grading system comes into play, right? So number 1, you get 1 point. You're not meeting expectations. Hey, this is not looking good. Number 2, you're meeting expectations. That this is satisfactory. You pass. Number 3, you're doing above and beyond. You're doing great. No. You have to meet expectations at least 80% of the time, or they toss you back to one class. And they talk about that in the middle of the week, about if you start feeling overwhelmed, you start getting left behind, they don't kick you out. That's not how it works. You just drop back a class. So there's a new cohort, a new full-time Lambda School class starting every single month. And if you're not meeting expectations enough, they don't kick you out. They just drop you back a class until you get good with the concepts, and then you can come back to the cohort or a cohort that's at your level, pretty much. So that's how that works. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, click that little subscribe button, click the bell next to it. Thank you to the Martin Fee and Vlaslo. They are patrons of the channel. They help support the channel. I know not all of you can donate, or not all of you do, but maybe the next time you do donate to somebody, consider me if these videos have helped you out. I have a Discord. I'd love to have you in the Discord, and the link for that is in the description below. If you want to check out Lambda School, you thought this was informative, you want to see what they're all about, more detailed than what this video describes, click the little link in the description. If you use that link, you'll get $250 when you graduate, and you help support the channel. If you don't use the link, you don't get it, and I don't get any support for the channel, and it's whatever. But anyways, a couple people have been asking, so I finally made some t-shirts. So if you want to go ahead and get yourself a little coffee mug that says "Constant Hustle Equals True," you can check the merch. Check the merch, link is in the bio. God, man, I am just really Jake Paulin today. Really Logan Paulin. I'm sorry that you guys have to see that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, so it's been your first week at Lambda School. What is your favorite thing about it so far?
The instructors are really good at explaining the material, and I've noticed that they're very engaging. So it's never really been like I don't feel like I'm just kind of sitting there bored and trying to get through it. I'm actually engaged the whole time, so that's nice.
Isn't there like 70 people though?
There is, but our questions always get answered, and Josh Nell, who's the instructor for the web dev front end stuff right now, he's really good. He's very charismatic and energetic, so it makes it fun.
How do you find the warm-ups, the daily warm-ups to start? Because they give you something at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so the daily warm-ups, the code challenges, they're actually not too bad. They're really basic so far. But I've been told that they're going to be ramping up in complexity soon, especially when we hit JavaScript, because that's when the data structures will happen.
What has been the most difficult thing about Lambda School so far?
I think for me, just personally, it's been getting up at 6 a.m. just so I can get showered and eat breakfast and do a little bit of working out before I have to sit down for a couple hours. But I know for a lot of people in the class who don't have kind of the HTML and CSS background, they tell me the hardest thing is just sitting there and trying to figure out what's going wrong with their HTML tags or what's going on with their CSS and why it won't kind of adjust the way they want it to.
Have you been working a lot with your classmates or your people in your group?
Yeah, so I always post in the Slack channel because I understand this stuff a little bit better than they might. I always say, hey guys, if you need help, we'll start a Zoom channel together and we'll all kind of just sit there and go over it one by one. And it's actually really fun, and it helps me kind of reinforce what I've learned.
That's what they say, right? The best way to learn something is to be able to teach it. It's the end of the week. It's Friday night. You're still here. That means you took a sprint challenge, which is like the final week project that you have to, and then they give you the grade. 1, do not pass. 2, satisfactory. 3, amazing. So how did it go? What kind of project? What was it like? And then what did you get?
So at first I wasn't really sure if we were doing the challenge because they were kind of unclear about when we were supposed to be starting. I wish they had kind of had like a morning Q&A and just kind of like a start thing. But after 30 minutes and figuring out that I was supposed to start, I went into it and I looked at it. It wasn't too bad actually. It was pretty. It was basically just an overview of everything we learned for the week. So we had to use Git to pull. We had to fork over to the repo, and then we had to clone it using the terminal, and then we learned about how to make a branch, switch the head to the branch we made, and then we did our files and committed, add commit, and then pushed, and then we would merge it together afterwards. The actual project though was we had to recreate a web template that they sent us from a photo using Flexbox and HTML.
And so you get 3 hours to do it. How long did it take you to do it?
It took me an hour and a half.
And so that's like the whole day, right? Or is there still instruction after that?
Afterwards, there's no instruction. So afterwards, there's a Q&A for people who just had questions about little things. And then afterwards, we just did a one-on-one with our PMs.
And that's when he grades it?
Yeah, so he looks over your code, and then he says, hey, like, I think you might need help, or goes, hey, I think you did really great, and just be prepared for the next week.
So overall, pretty satisfied so far?
So far, yeah, the first week was great. I think it was very informative, and I learned some stuff that I didn't even know from my other courses like Colt Steel and all that.
Did they prepare you for week 2? What's going on next week?
So they gave us a shortcut to our curriculum on our syllabus, just to kind of overview, and they gave us some resources that we could look at just to prepare ourselves for next week and get ahead on the ball. They highly encourage it because they say if you're ahead, then you have more time to understand and focus on what's going on.
What's the topic?
Next week is going to be responsive design.
Have you found yourself studying after hours?
Yeah, a little bit. I know I've been practicing with Flexbox and kind of making sure that the parents and child containers were all right, because for me the first hard thing was getting like pictures side by side and paragraphs side by side under one another. But that's about it. After that, I kind of just had it down, and that was like 90% of what the project was for the week.